Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be looking at a band called A Broken Silence. Excuse me, not a band I've ever heard of before, so I did a little bit of research, and what I came up with was A Broken Silence are from Sydney, Australia, and they are a hip-hop rock band formed in 2008. That's all I could find. And since they've been around since 2008, I was like, you'd expect that there'd be more information around out there, but I couldn't find a damn thing. Couldn't find a single thing about the band, so, yeah, I can't really tell you much more than that. Now, today I'm going to be looking at a track called Hope. Now, I got a email that they'd released a new single called Hope, but it's an acoustic version because they're releasing an acoustic album. But I'm going to look at the original first version of this track from a much older album. I'm not sure when this album originally came out, but they are releasing an acoustic album at the end of the month. I believe it comes out 30th of October. I'll put a couple of links down below to the new thing if you want to check it out, but I thought, I'd like to get a look at the original version of the track to get a sort of idea of who the band are and what they sound like. It says hip hop rock, so I kind of think I know where this is sort of heading, but can't be sure. So got lyrics up here, and we'll just jump straight into it. So A Broken Silence, Hope. Let's have a look.
Many are stained with souls corrupt. Hope they locate change when old enough. A message that I got when growing up. Drinking smoke pot till you're throwing up. So is the world getting colder? Nah. Then I look where them soldiers are. Wonder why I just wrote that bar. Where we living is poles apart. With open hearts I see people building a bridge to the world. Feed some children. New light leads to millions. Fight evil, be resilient. Role models saying grip that gun. We march into a different drum. Drugs will bring you a fist of funds, but make your journey a twisted one. Just begun to see duties change. Seek truth that pursued of fame. Some choosing to fuel in flames, but they looking like fools today if the youth decay. Focus dies, time to retrain, mobilize. The more ways been pulverized. Got a new table to roll that dice. Inner demons like a poltergeist. Had us it was so cold as ice, but now kids got globalized. Hope's alive. Conquer fear, new ideas. See these kids, pioneers for future years. Vision's clear. What this is hope. This is hope. New ideas. See these kids, pioneers for future years. Vision's clear. What this is hope. Conquer fear, new ideas. See these kids, pioneers for future years. Vision's clear. What this is hope. This is hope. New ideas. See these kids, pioneers for future years. Vision's clear. What this is hope. Like they sing in Liverpool, you never walk alone. Any girl, any fella from a broken home. Anyone neglected in a war zone. Lost every road and was forced to roam. Still he spoke in the warmest tones. Kept hope as a cornerstone. From these gifts we all they grow. I quit spinning them more proposals like cornerstones to stop the hate swelling. Still see pain unlocked away, fellas. Still need change and lots of rebelling. Use brains, we got to be headed in the right direction, right progression. Minds can be quite perplexing. My confession, life is testing. Positive thought fights depression like songs of Michael. Read the Bible, read Quran, heed disciples. Love is vital in the eyes of Buddha, and even trials from the scribes of Judah. One word to describe the future: hope. Conquer fear, new ideas. See these kids, pioneers for future years. Vision's clear. What this is hope. This is hope. New ideas. See these kids, pioneers for future years. Vision's clear. What this is hope. Conquer fear, new ideas. See these kids, pioneers for future years. Vision's clear. What this is hope. This is hope. New ideas. See these kids, pioneers for future years. Vision's clear. What this is hope. What this is. What this is hope. See these kids, this is hope. Future's here, this is hope, this is hope. Conquer fear, new ideas. See these kids, pioneers for future years. Vision's clear, what this is. New ideas, see these kids, pioneers for future years. Vision's clear, what this is. conquer fear. New ideas, see these kids, pioneers for future years. Visions clear, what this is hope, this is hope. New ideas, see these kids, pioneers for future years. Visions clear, what this is hope. Conquer fear, new ideas, see these kids, pioneers for future years. Visions clear, what this is hope, this is hope. New ideas, see these kids, pioneers for future years. Visions clear, what this is hope.
There we go. Hope by A Broken Silence. It's exactly what I thought it would be, musically. I thought, I had a feeling it was going to be something like that. Kind of reminds me a bit of POD from way back in the day. I can't even remember when POD came out, but I remember I got the Satellite album when it came out. But it reminds me very much of that sort of music, hip-hop rock. Now, I will say that I'm not a huge fan of this style of music. I mean, I'll listen to it. I'll quite happily listen to it. And like I said, I do own POD Satellite, and I'm sure I've got some other hip hop rock albums sitting around somewhere. But I do like it, and it's got a good message to this song. The chorus is a bit repetitive. I feel like they could have maybe done a bit more with the chorus, but the message of it is brilliant. It's very positive. It's basically talking about how kids are our future, that they're going to be the pioneers of our future. The outlook isn't as bleak as we think it might be. These younger generations that are coming through are going to be like the innovators of the future. They're going to be the people that create further technologies to help improve life and stuff like that. That sort of thing. Now, the lyrics, it goes, many are stained with souls corrupt, hope they locate change when old enough. A message that I got when growing up is drink and smoke pot till you're throwing up. So is the world getting colder? Nah, then I look where them soldiers are, wondering why I just wrote that bar. We're living poles apart with open hearts. I see people building a bridge to the world to feed some children. A new light to lead some millions. Fight evil, be resilient. Role models saying grip the gun. We marching to a different drum. Drugs will bring you a fist of funds, but make your journey a twisted one. Just begun to see duties change. Seek truth, not pursuit of fame. Some choosing to fuel the flames, but they looking like fools today if the youth decay. Focus dies, time to retrain, mobilise. Them old ways have been pulverised. We got a new table to roll the dice, inner demons like a poltergeist. Had us living as cold as ice, but now kids got global eyes, hopes alive. So it's saying like, the opening line is, many are stained with souls corrupt, hope they locate change when old enough. It's like, many people at the moment in the world are sort of selfish, they're more interested in their own self than caring for everybody else, that they're all greedy and stuff like that, and he's hoping that they'll actually see, it's better to care for the people around you as well as just yourself. Don't be sort of selfish person. Spread the love, be nice to everyone. And he's hoping that these people will see that before it becomes too late. And he said, a message that I got when growing up is drink and smoke pot until you're throwing up. That used to be the cool thing to do, just to get drunk, smoke pot, just basically be a doss out, don't contribute anything to the world. And he's just like, that's what it used to be, but it's not like that anymore. And he's going on about role models saying grip the gun, we're marching to a different drum, drugs will bring you a fist of funds but make your journey a twisted one. It's like, back in those days, back when I was young, drugs will bring you a fist of fun. Sure, you'll make loads of money selling these drugs and sort of things like that, but it will essentially ruin your life, whether you're taking them or not. If you're part of this drug culture, it will ruin your life essentially. You'll either end up in prison, or you're going to end up getting murdered by some crazed addict who needs something that you can't provide. That sort of thing. Whilst it might make you rich in the short term, and in the long run, it's going to ruin your life. And then he says, "Seek truth, not pursuit of fame." So again, it's like, rather than just being out for yourself, wanting to get rich, wanting to get famous, wanting to have all the attention on you, seek out the important things, vital things in life. But then he turns around and goes, but the kids today, they're sort of like, they are our future. They're born into this world with fresh eyes. They can already see the state that it's become, and they can try and work forward to help change it. Because it says here, but kids now got global eyes, hopes alive. So, kids, these new children being born into this world, they can see the world as it is, and they can process it and figure out what it is that needs to be done. Then it goes into the chorus bit, which, like I said, I think is a bit repetitive. They could have done a bit more with it, but still, it goes, conquer fear, new ideas, see these kids, pioneers. For future years, visions clear. What this is? This is hope. This is hope. New ideas. See these kids, pioneers. For future years, visions clear. What this is hope. Conquer fears, new ideas. See these kids, pioneers. For future years, visions clear. What is this? This is hope. This is hope. New ideas. See these kids, pioneers. For future years, visions clear. What this is hope. So, like I said, it's a bit repetitive. I feel they could have done more with it. But again, they're saying, look, these kids will be the pioneers. These will be the creators of our future. They can help to create a better world than the state that we've left it in so far. Then it goes into the next verse. It says, like they sing in Liverpool, you'll never walk alone. Sneaky football reference, or soccer reference if you're American. Like they sing in Liverpool, you'll never walk alone. Any girl, any fella from a broken home, anyone neglected in a warring zone, lost their abode and was forced to roam. Still they spoke in the warmest tones, kept hope as a cornerstone. From these gifts we ought to grow. I quit spitting these morbid poems. Like cortisones to stop the hate swelling, still see pain in locked away felons, still need change and lots of rebelling, use brains we've got to be heading in the right direction. Minds can be quite perplexing, my confession, life is testing, and positive thoughts fight depression. Like songs of Michael, read the Bible, read Quran, heed disciples. Love is vital in the eyes of Buddha, and even scribes from the tribes of Judah. One word to describe the future, hope. And then it goes into that chorus again, conquer fears, new ideas, see these kids, pioneers, for future years, visions clear. What is this? This is hope, this is hope. But going back to that previous verse, it says, like they sing in Liverpool, you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone is the Liverpool football theme song, if you will. I don't know much about football or soccer. It's not for me. I don't like that sort of thing. But the point they're trying to get is you'll never walk alone. You're never going to be lonely. There's always going to be someone there to help you, to guide you, no matter what situation you find yourself in. You are never alone. Someone is always there to help you if you need it. And it says, any girl, any fella from a broken home, anyone neglected in the warring zone, lost their abode and was forced to roam, still they spoke in the warmest tones. So it's like, anybody that's come from a broken home, anybody that maybe had an abusive parent, anybody that's lost their home or their family to war and destruction like that, they still spoke in the warmest tones. So it's like they still kept hope alive. They still stayed positive despite losing those things that were very important to us. And those dogs can shut up. We have dogs next door and they just bark consistently every day, all day, and it's really annoying. But anyway, that's a little sidetrack. Anyway, so it's like they kept hope as a cornerstone. So it's like despite losing everything, they held on to that hope that things will get better, that the future will improve for them. And it says, from these gifts we ought to grow, I quit spitting morbid poems. So he sort of looked back at it and gone, I've been singing all these sort of negative songs, I've been writing all these sort of negative and depressing songs, but what I really should be doing is lifting people up. I should be writing uplifting tracks like this one. This is a positive message, sort of, saying, there is hope for the future. It says, use brains, we got to be heading in the right direction, right progression. Mine can be quite perplexing. My confession, life is testing. And positive thoughts fight depression. So it's like, we've got to use our brains. We've got to, move forward. We've got to try and improve the way the world is, rather than just sort of sitting back and, just giving up, actually put your mind into it, put your body into it, and actually do something to help improve. Because he says there, my confession, life is testing, So he's saying, it's not going to be an easy thing to do. It can be very difficult, but if you put the effort in, you will succeed. We've got to actually do something to enforce change. And then he goes, like songs of Michael, read the Bible, read Quran, heed disciples. Love is vital in the eyes of Buddha, even the scribes from the tribes of Judah. One word describes the future, hope. So he's sort of uniting all of these religions into one thing. They all have the same message of hope. They're all aimed towards the same thing. So, this is something I've mentioned on a few occasions, is like the utter hatred between different religions, whereas all of these religions basically saying the same thing. There is hope for the future. Pursue your dreams. Do something good. Do something positive. Look out for your fellow man. And yet we still get all this hate from people saying, Muslim religion is all based around hate and violence and stuff like. Have you ever actually looked or read the Bible? How much murder goes on in there, done by the almighty magic Skyman that you celebrate as the ultimate good. In the Bible, God kills more men than Satan. And Satan's supposed to be the epitome of all evil, and in the Bible he kills about 10 people, whereas God kills millions. So you're saying the Bible and God is like the embodiment of good, and that other religions embody hatred and violence. You're actually very, very wrong, and you obviously haven't read the Bible properly. And I've read it quite a few times, actually. I don't like it, but I have read it. Anyway, it then goes back into that chorus, conquer fears, new ideas, see these kids pioneers for future years, visions clear, what is this? This is hope, and it goes through that again. Then it goes to a bridge, which is pretty simple. It says, what this is, this is hope, this is hope. See these kids, this is hope, future's here, this is hope, this is hope. And then it goes back into that chorus and repeats that again 2 more times before the track ends. So, I like the song, I like the meaning, it's got a positive, sort of uplifting feeling behind it. And the music, it wasn't bad. The actual performance, the song itself, it wasn't bad. It's not something I go out of my way to listen to, but I can still appreciate it for what it is. And I've always said I will appreciate a band if they, because they can show talent. I might not necessarily like them. I mean, I dislike Iron Maiden. I cannot stand listening to Iron Maiden, mostly because of Bruce Dickinson's voice. But I can appreciate them because there's obvious talent there. They are good at what they do. It's just not my cup of tea. So the same sort of thing goes with this band. I can appreciate the talent. I can they're good at what they do. It's not something I'd go out of my way to listen to, but it's still pretty decent. I could quite happily listen to it if it was playing. I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to it, but I could still quite happily listen to it if it was there. So pretty decent, but again, the actual meaning of the song, I think, is the important part here. everybody goes on about how heavy metal is like negative and how it's all evil and about satanic rituals or sacrificing virgins and stuff like that. You know, there's this all too often given misconception that heavy metal is violent, aggressive, and evil, whereas you've got songs like this, which are positive, uplifting, and I've covered many, many other songs on this channel in the past 2 or 3 years that I've been doing it, where they've had songs about, you know, helping people with mental illnesses, depression, you know, helping people in all sorts of ways, or, you know, helping to fix the earth. You know, this is something that gets overlooked, you know, and, you know, if some violence breaks out, heavy metal is normally being blamed for it in some way or another, you know. And I mean, you look at things like, look at gangster rap, for example. You know, I do listen to some, I'm not going to lie, and I do enjoy it, but how many crimes, gang wars, drive-by shootings, you know, how much violence is perpetrated by people from that genre compared to people who listen to heavy metal? You know, there's more sort of gang violence relating to gangster rap than there is to heavy metal. Yet when some sort of violence breaks out in the world, if there's like a mass shooting, etc., heavy metal is always the first to get blamed. But this hip-hop gangster rap stuff never seems to get up, you know, no one bats an eyelid at it, you know. And there have been plenty of hip-hop songs written about that sort of thing, like Eminem, like Toy Soldiers. It's about that very thing, you know, and he's saying, you know, this sort of thing is prevalent through the hip-hop genre of music, that this gun violence between people, you know. I mean, these people write diss tracks about each other. They're constantly slagging each other off, and sometimes it escalates too far and someone ends up getting shot. You know, you don't see that in heavy metal music, yet heavy metal music is often cited as the violence and the evil music. You know, so I like the fact that this is showing such a positive, you know, message in the song. I got a bit off track there, didn't I? But yeah, I can't really think of much else to say about that song, so I'll leave that as it is. Now, if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so. By all means, you can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you can even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would be a great help to me. There is an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire. There is a couple of limitations on how often you can do that, however, you know, just to be fair to people who make suggestions through regular means, such as through YouTube comments, Facebook or Instagram comments, etc. And if you do make a suggestion through those regular means, do know it might take me a while to get around to your suggestion, since I do get suggested so many new tracks every single day that I can't make videos fast enough. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it'll get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get around to it. Also, Metalhead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crimes, mainly those involving people of the alternative culture, and it's something that I believe in very, very strongly. I mean, obviously they want to put an end to all hate crimes, but violence against people of the alternative culture is how the foundation sort of came into being in the first place. And, you know, it's something that's very important to me, because it's something I've encountered nearly all of my life, and it's something that many of my friends and family have also had to deal with. And it's something that gets widely ignored, and that is something I feel really needs to change. Because every day, all over the world, people are getting violently attacked just because they are part of the alternative culture, just because they listen to alternative music or wear alternative fashion. And, you know, we're not just talking about insults spat at them from across the street, or being, like, shoulder bumped as they walk down the road. You know, we're talking about real violent crimes where people are getting brutalised, people are getting beaten to within an inch of their lives just because of the music that they listen to. And, you know, every day we hear about all these other sort of hate crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, etc. We hear about these every single day. From the most heinous and violent of these crimes, from like someone getting beaten to death or someone getting murdered because of the colour of their skin or because of their religious beliefs or sexual identity, down to the most pathetic of these crimes where some entitled white woman is calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public space. But we're not hearing about these violent crimes where people are getting hospitalised, sometimes with broken bones and sometimes more life-threatening injuries just because of their taste in music. The last time there was any widespread coverage of this was about 13 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people and beaten so severely that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he thankfully survived. He was in a coma for around about a week, maybe a bit longer, I can't remember exactly how long. But Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, she was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman was 20 years old and she was beaten to death because of her taste in music and because of the way she dressed. And this was all over the news at the time. And like I said, this was 13 years ago. But since that happened, we've never heard another thing about it. But I know for a fact that there have been hundreds, if not thousands of more cases of something similar happening, but we've not heard a single thing about it because no one's died. And that's unacceptable. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before this subject gets spoken about. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to get brutally murdered before this gets brought into the public's attention. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want more people to start talking about this. They want more people to realise that this is a real problem that's been going on for decades. This isn't anything new. This has been going on for decades. And they don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks. They don't want to see somebody else lose their life at the hands of a group of small-minded idiots who can't handle the fact that someone has different taste for them. We can't allow what happened to Sophie Lancaster to ever happen again. It's something that never ever should have happened in the first place. And I think it's very, very important that this gets more attention. I think it's essential that this gets spoken about because we can't allow any more people to die over something so petty as a difference in taste in music. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their main goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously you don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it be a small donation through their website or something as simple as like one of these Sophie wristbands, or maybe even this one should you so desire it, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.
Conquer fear, new ideas. See these kids, pioneers for future years. Visions clear. What this is hope. This is hope. New ideas.